This is a live look at the CN Tower tonight, dimmed as the city joins the UK and the rest of the world in mourning the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, Her Majesty passing away today at the age of 96. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. The Queen's eldest son is now King Charles III. The crown passed on to him as crowds gathered in front of Buckingham Palace today to mourn the loss.
Queen Elizabeth II was the rock on which modern Britain was built. Earlier this week, at 96, she remained determined to carry out her duties as she appointed me as her 15th Prime Minister. It is a day of great loss, but Queen Elizabeth II leaves a great legacy. Today, the crown passes, as it has done for more than 1,000 years, to our new monarch, our new head of state, His Majesty, King Charles III.
Family members rushed to be with the Queen earlier today. All 4 of her children are at Balmoral Castle, as well as her grandson, the future King William. The official announcement was posted in front of Buckingham Palace. It stated that the Queen had died peacefully as the flag over the palace was lowered to half-mast. The flags here in Toronto are also at half-mast tonight at the Ontario Legislature and at City Hall. During her reign, the Queen made 7 visits to Toronto between 1957 and 2010. And the loss is being felt across our city tonight. The Toronto sign at Nathan Phillips Square has also been dimmed, and that's where we find our Meg Roberts. Meg, many in mourning and finding ways to honor the Queen tonight.
Yes, the dim Toronto sign behind me, just one of the many ways this city is honoring Queen Elizabeth today, an outpouring of support and condolences from Toronto residents.
So we were both very sad because she's just been part of our life. She's always been around, and we know the devastation that the family will feel, as the country will feel, worldwide actually.
I was crying. Tell me about that. Because she's loved. She's been around, many generations. It's wonderful.
She deserves a good burial, and she's got we got all good memories of her, so I'll leave it at that.
The city of Toronto has lowered its flags. Lights have been dimmed at iconic places across the city, and a little memorial has started outside Queen's Park. At Rogers Centre tonight, fans gathered for the Elton John concert.
Oh, I'm certain he's going to make a tribute of some sort to Her Majesty, for sure.
And Sir Elton did just that.
She's been with me all my life, and I feel very sad that she won't be with me anymore. But I'm glad she's at peace, and I'm glad she's at rest.
This was his second show in Toronto after playing here last night. He dedicated Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me in the Queen's honor. For some, a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
It is historical. Not everybody's going to have this chance to see it firsthand. Yeah.
On the day.
On the day of her passing.
As head of state, the Queen visited Toronto 6 times, the most recent in 2010, where she visited Woodbine Racetrack. Over the span of her life, she was there 4 times, and even up until 2019, raced her own horses. The CEO of the company says he remembers Queen Elizabeth asking him about horse breeding.
She had a lot of knowledge about North American breeding and horse racing, and she was really curious. And we spent a long time talking about it. She was kind and genuine. She had a sparkle in her eye. You'll never forget those blue eyes. And she was just a lovely person.
Provincial politicians say they will pay tribute to the Queen next Wednesday at 2 p.m. And Torontonians are also being encouraged to sign a virtual condolences book. That's on the federal government's website. Or you can do that right here at City Hall or the city's civic centers. That starts tomorrow. Kelda.
Thanks so much, Meg. That's our Meg Roberts live for us tonight. Politicians across the spectrum are remembering the Queen and her contributions to this country, especially Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who knew her for most of his life. Take a look.
She was one of my favorite people in the world, and I will miss her so. I'm having trouble believing that my last sit-down with her was my last. I will so miss those chats. She was thoughtful, wise, curious, helpful, funny, and so much more.
Following my appointment, Her Majesty said to me, "Be gentle with yourself." I've come to understand her words to mean that while we should work hard on the issues that matter, we should also take time to pause, to be patient, to lead with understanding and respect.
Queen Elizabeth, beyond her public duties, was a mother, a grandmother, and a great-grandmother. And the loss of an elder in the family is a very dramatic and traumatic loss.
On behalf of all Ontarians, I'm sending our thoughts and prayers to the entire royal family, the people of the United Kingdom, and to Her Majesty's many admirers all over the world. Long live the King.
And we will continue to highlight the Queen's legacy in the days to come here on CBC. And still ahead tonight, we'll take a closer look at the many trips the Queen made to Toronto. First, though, we turn to some other news happening in our city. A funeral was held today for 3 siblings who died in a fiery crash in Brampton last month. Now, Terza, Judah, and Pharaoh Blackman Lal all died in a crash in the early morning hours of Saturday, August 20th, when the car they were traveling in struck a tree. All 3 siblings were under 20 years old. Friends and family of 15-year-old Pharaoh described him as an amazing young man. York Regional Police releasing new details in a fatal hit-and-run crash from last week. Police believe the vehicle in this image is the car that hit and killed a 26-year-old female pedestrian. It happened just after 9 p.m. at the intersection of Major Mackenzie and Cedar Avenue. The victim was crossing the street at the time. Police believe the vehicle is a dark-colored Honda Civic. They say it has a loud muffler and damage to the front passenger side and windshield. Investigators are urging the driver to get a lawyer and turn themselves into police. Delight Restaurant and Barbecue in Markham has reopened after a dozen of their diners were accidentally poisoned. Today, the owner was joined by local leaders in Markham to assure customers it is safe to eat there.
So from this incident, he's going to checking everything he's buying, purchasing, or even the suppliers deliver the products to him. He's checking himself, and he is training his whole team and checking and differentiating the good quality ones, the right ones with the good labeling and everything.
At least 12 people became seriously ill after eating a chicken dish at the restaurant last month. It was found that the poisonous aconite root was mistakenly labeled as a different spice and used in that dish. Aconite is sometimes used in traditional Chinese medicine, but is not a regulated food product in Canada. York Public Health found the error happened further down the food supply chain, and Delight Restaurant is not at fault. The mislabeled spice mix has since been recalled. Well, the glitz, the glamour, and the road closures are back. The Toronto International Film Festival begins today. The 8-day festival featuring Oscar hopefuls and some big Hollywood names. And as Natalie Collada explains, it comes at a time when the city could use the star power.
Lights, camera, cue the TIFF action.
There's really nothing like watching a movie on the big screen with that immersive sound and with hundreds of other people who are feeling something similar to what you're feeling.
The Toronto International Film Festival kicks off today, the first fully in-person iteration since the start of the pandemic, offering a chance for restaurants, hotels, and brands to boost their foot traffic, snag extra sales, and even lure in celebrities.
Well, small businesses are really looking forward to welcoming movie stars and film buffs into their establishment, that they can get some much needed revenues.
Pre-pandemic, TIFF was big business for the city. The last time the festival studied its financial impact was in 2013, finding the event injected more than $180 million in annual economic activity. A June survey of Ontario's small businesses found 55% are struggling, making less than normal revenue. 81% have not recovered from pandemic-related stress.
It's all good news, and it's all going to help us on our path to recovery.
And it already appears to be working.
I think if you were to try to get a hotel room this week in Toronto, I think if you were to try to get a restaurant reservation, I think if you were to try to hail a cab, you would find all of those people and many more are very, very busy this week.
In fact, Airbnb is reporting a major spikes in reservation searching for Toronto this week.
So we found that searches increased 100% year over year, and beyond that, they increased nearly 50% since 2019.
It's good news, but experts say for businesses, it's just a start.
They're realistic and they recognize that just one festival isn't going to be able to wipe out their COVID debt or get them back to normal revenues.
Still, a little star power can go a long way. TIFF runs until September 18th. Natalie Gladys, CBC News, Toronto.
Back. The James Smith Cree Nation in Saskatchewan has been shattered by the murders of 9 of its members, all killed in a mass stabbing on Sunday. Today, the community took the first steps along the path to healing. Adam Hunter has this story.
For the first time since a mass stabbing attack left community members dead and injured, people in the James Smith Cree Nation gathered together and invited those from outside to join them. The killings have rocked the small First Nation.
My nephews lost their father, my best friend. My family on the left lost their sister. These acts of violence have to stop, and they have to stop now.
Near the end of the ceremony, Daryl Burns took the microphone. He lost his sister Gloria. He put his arm around the wife of Damian Sanderson. He was initially named as a suspect. His body was found on the First Nation on Monday.
I lost my husband and my dad too. That's not my husband.
So a tragedy like this, let's learn from it. Let's take strength and courage and let's move on. Let's build a safer community.
The manhunt for Miles Sanderson started early Sunday morning, and there were potential sightings, but nothing significant until Wednesday afternoon. RCMP reported someone had stolen a white truck and was armed with a knife near Waka, Saskatchewan. Almost an hour later, another emergency alert. Miles Sanderson had been arrested, the stolen truck in the ditch, but the story took another turn.
Shortly after being arrested, he went into medical distress. Emergency medical services responded, and he was transported to hospital in Saskatoon, and that's where he was deceased.
Blackmore wouldn't comment on Sanderson's cause of death. Because he was in police custody, outside agencies will be brought in to conduct an independent investigation into the circumstances surrounding his death. She says RCMP will continue its investigation, which includes 13 crime scenes.
We've conducted 120 interviews to this point. There's more that we have to do, but witnesses and people around him only have so much information. His motivation may at this time and forever only be known to Miles.
RCMP say they're in the process of piecing together a timeline of Miles Sanderson's whereabouts and how he was able to evade police for more than 3 days. Adam Hunter, CBC News, Regina.
Back here in Toronto, the city's police service is honoring 2 of its officers for their work developing a new program to help military veterans in need. Greg Ross has more.
2 Toronto police officers honored for developing a new program designed to help military veterans who may be struggling with mental health issues and homelessness.
What I didn't realize was what happens after military service and how challenging it is after military service.
Constables Aaron Dale and Jeremy Burns are military veterans themselves, and they both know firsthand how difficult it can be to make the transition from military life to civilian life.
I felt like I didn't fit into the world that I had left to go and fight. And when I came back, I had a skill set and a level of training that I didn't feel had a place in civilian life. Fitting in, finding your own place in the world, new friends, new family, new place to live, new culture.
They say they were able to take advantage of services offered to military veterans. But after joining the police force, they quickly realized many other veterans weren't getting the help they needed. It also became apparent that police officers weren't getting training to deal with veterans in crisis. That's when they developed the Military Veterans Wellness Program, which provides that training to all Toronto police staff.
They're going to understand more about mental health and physical health issues that a veteran experiences.
Police officers will now have access to a new form that will allow them to refer a veteran who may be in need of help to the people who can get it for them.
We don't expect our officers, after taking our training, to be experts in the military or experts in the benefits that are available, but to act as that conduit to get a veteran in crisis to the experts, which is Veterans Affairs Canada, the Legion, and OSIS.
Dale and Burns say they plan to share this program with police forces across the country.
Hopefully we put a stop to veteran suicide and veteran homelessness across the entire country.
Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
And Toronto police are asking for the public's help in searching for 2 dogs that were stolen at knife point. They say it happened at around 11 p.m. on September 1st near Yonge and Dundas Square. Police say a man and a woman who were armed with a knife approached the owner and took the dogs. Now, one of the dogs, a brown Shih Tzu, was in a stroller. The other dog is a black Scottish Terrier. They're asking anyone who spots them to contact police. And here is a live look at the Toronto skyline tonight. Clear this evening with some fog patches developing overnight. Currently, it is 21 degrees in the city, and we will have a look at your full weekend forecast after the break. A look at your forecast with Victor Paolo at the Weather Network. And Victor, another nice sunny day. It's been the theme this week.
Kelda, we did have a beautiful day today, which was going to be followed up by a cool night currently, and that is going to lead us to a beautiful Friday. That Friday is going to be above seasonal. It's going to feel like your mid-30s. As you know, we've had a lot of that in July, a lot of that in August, so it seems to be a bit of a continuation as we're getting into the month of September, and I personally am not complaining. You take a look at the winds in the region. Overnight tonight, you see it's not going to be that gusty in Toronto. 14 kilometers is what the gusts will be. And as we get later on into overnight into tomorrow morning, it's not going to be that gusty either. It's going to stay around the high teens to around the mid-20s. And as we get later on into Saturday, overnight will remain the same. Taking a look at our storm tracker, we do see that we have the high pressure system that is currently over Ontario, working its way from Windsor all the way up through to Quebec City. We're going to have very, very, very clear skies. These clear skies are going to be bringing us high temperatures, which is going to be above seasonal. So we're experiencing that 34, as we did experience that 32 today as well. It's also going to bring some cool nights. It's going to be around the high teens to the mid-teens, which is not bad. As you remember those summer nights where it was around those mid-20s, married by those 30-degree days, very sticky. But then September is going to bring us that balance of both with the high press system. Looking along as it goes through into Friday, we have some more clear skies. Should feel like 34 around here. But as we get into the weekend, we are going to be having a cold front work its way through into the Golden Horseshoe. Now, what does that mean? Once that cold front right here keeps working its way through, that's going to bring some rain into early Sunday, into Monday as well, too. And that rain could be also followed by some thunder showers. So I suggest to keep track here on the broadcast. We'll keep you up to date with the conditions of that cold front system. But before we get to there, it's going to be 16 degrees tonight. And after tonight's 16 degrees, it's going to be a beautiful 27, and it's going to feel like 32. And if you ask me, that's my favorite kind of weather to start a Friday. Now, back to you.
Thanks so much, Victor. Before we go tonight, as we remember Queen Elizabeth II and her 7 decades on the throne, we wanted to take a look back at her many visits to our city. Here's Dwight Drummond.
By air next to Toronto, capital city of Ontario. Decked in gay colors for the welcome, with flags and decorations in every street.
Queen Elizabeth II has made 7 official visits to Toronto, the first as Princess Elizabeth on October 12, 1951, just 1 year before she became Queen. Spectators greeted the princess and her husband, Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, on the Canadian National Exhibition grounds. Their motorcade also drove alongside a huge crowd at Riverdale Park. In June 1959, the Queen made her first visit to Toronto as head of state. She arrived in the Toronto Harbour on the Royal Yacht Britannia and visited the Isabel and Arthur Meehan Lodge, at the time a new elder care facility, which to this day remains a long-term care home.
The Queen herself was in the royal box joining.
Elizabeth attended the 1959 Queen's Plate, Canada's oldest thoroughbred horse race at Woodbine Racetrack. The trip included a tour of Scarborough and a visit to Eglinton Square Plaza. In 1973, the Queen and Prince Philip arrived on the tarmac at Toronto International Airport as supporters hoped to catch a glimpse of the royal couple.
Nathan Phillips Square was wall-to-wall people, many of them office workers, foregoing lunch for a glimpse of royalty.
Former Toronto Mayor David Crombie welcomed the royal couple at Nathan Phillips Square, where the Queen said a few words.
Mr. Mayor, may Toronto flourish and may her citizens live together in concord and happiness for many years to come.
The royals also paid a visit to Ontario Place.
Today, the Queen helped celebrate Toronto's 150th birthday.
This is a city which has reason to be proud of what has been achieved in 150 years.
Elizabeth returned to Toronto in 1984, as you heard there, celebrating the city's 150th anniversary. She and her husband laid a wreath on the First World War Memorial cenotaph in front of Old City Hall and officially opened the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. In 1997, the royal couple once again attended the Queen's Plate at Woodbine Racetrack. Her Majesty also visited the Mong Shong Foundation Home for the Aged with a celebration in her honor from members of Toronto's Chinese community. The Queen flew into Pearson in 2002 for her Golden Jubilee visit. A large crowd gathered for her visit to Exhibition Place, which carries some significance to the royal family. The Queen's father and uncle actually inaugurated the gateway there, earning the name the Prince's Gates. The Queen's final visit to our city happened in 2010. The Queen and Prince Philip attended Sunday service at St. James Cathedral and attended the Queen's Plate one final time, with Her Majesty presenting the winning jockey with the trophy.
And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Dwight Drummond has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. I will see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Have a great night, everyone.